In Shanghai. When the war closed in on them up there, the same thing happened. They came out far better by collecting on the insurance than they would have by standing the expense of liquidating.
I suppose coincidence won't quite do, will it? What do you want from this office, Dollar?
Oh, I'd appreciate some phone calls or letters that would get me some support from the fire brigade and the police.
So we're back to the individual problem. Yeah, but I'll do the best I can.
Thank you, Mr. Grover. I won't take up all your time.
Let me know how you make out. Have you found a place to stay?
No, not yet.
Well, don't bother the Occidental places. They're jammed. But speak with my receptionist, Mr. Vedras.
Yeah, I saw on the way in. Vedras. I thought she was Chinese.
Half. Her father is Portuguese. He has accommodations about halfway up the peak on Sing-Wong. Charming girl. Nice people.
Oh, good. I'll ask her. And thanks again.
Oh, Dollar, just a matter of interest. The case in Shanghai. You say the insurance company was forced to meet the claim there?
That's right. The investigator they sent over was killed before he could build the case.
Oh.
They blamed his death on war conditions, too. Said he was robbed and knifed by starving refugees. Nobody had time to dig up the truth. Sing-Wong is a street of steps that climb from waterfront to the plush European residences on top of Victoria Peak. My accommodations were a room that looked out on an alley, an iron bed, a chair, and a pitcher of water on a bamboo
You had a
table.
window in your room?
There were no other non-Orientals in the building, but I seemed to be the only one that noticed it.
Yeah, you racist bastard.
I was suffering from a sort of
Edmund O'Brien.
claustrophobia and loneliness that night. And I was glad to
Charles
learn it was she who
O'Brien.
knocked at my door.
If you are comfortable.
Oh, thank you, I am. Now, this is fine. Oh, I don't have much to offer you. Cigarette? Scotch?
No, thank you.
Give her $1, stupid. It's in your
I
name.
came because I am curious.
I'm in Hong Kong on business, if that's what you mean. It's better kept confidential right now.
Is there danger in this business?
Why do you ask that?
Because you are followed here. You are being watched.
How do you know?
Oh, I know this street. I've seen this man. He has not been here before.
Where is he?
Maybe you can
So let's
see
see
him
how
from the
far we
window.
go
Wait a
this
minute.
time. This is
You tell me
beyond
where he is.
electromagnetic
I'll look.
pulse. So every time I get halfway through a joint, the router
Behind
fucking
the door.
collapses. There's a Wi-Fi in this case.
Well, thanks for telling me about it.
Do you know who he is?
No, I didn't think anybody knew I was in
The
town.
internet police really need 4
Let's talk
green
about something
lights
else.
and 4 red lights.
What
That's
is
what
that
the
music?
internet police need across the top of their car.
It's a love song. There's about 2 lonely people who meet near a river.
Oh, in America, they're different.
Yes, I know.
Oh, dear. 2 lonely people meeting near the river. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. So I keep ending up with half joints here because of these idiots. Which idiots? Whoever's fucking... you pick the worst times to try to hijack shit because, like, nothing's working correctly anyway, it seems like. So, not smart like us. You're dumb. You're not like us.
In my socks, cops think I'm selling rocks, pulling me over to see if I'm drunk, but I'm sober. They wouldn't fuck with me if I drove it over. Listen, Columbo, you mad because your money comes from
Think I am bad in this case. Honestly,
I didn't say that.
Twist me and search my ride.
Fuck who did I offend? Rappers, sit back, I'm about to sit back, I'm
This is the first half joint. The second one almost fell apart. I got
back,
it.
I'm about to sit back, I'm about
The paper's coming apart. So maybe I should just make one. Nope. This one's perfect. I'm just
sit back, I'm about to begin. Sit back, I'm about to begin.
I drive up and down Harlem blocks, iced out watch, knocks in my socks. Cops think I'm selling rocks, pulling me over to see if I'm drunk, but I'm sober. They wouldn't fuck with me if I drove it over. Listen, Columbo, you mad because your money comes slow, and what you make in a year, I make it one show. Now you wanna frisk me and search my ride, call me all kind of names, try to hurt my pride. You just mad cause I'm a young cat, pockets dumb fat, talking about where the gun at. I've been there and done that. I'm through with that illegal life. I'm staying legit. I love to see cars come cruising by
What the
playing
fuck
my
did
shit. I
you
walk
get?
around with 6 down without a pistol, my whole clique's wild. I'm rich pal, no more sticks, I'm making hits now. I drink crystal, I'm through breaking laws. I don't sell coke anymore, I do chores. So get that flashlight out of my face to bring me down. Them jakes to do whatever it takes. Word up, them federals got my phone and my house tapped, praying that I fall for the mouse trap. I doubt that. Why do I end up in so much shit? I done came way too far to be calling it quits. Jake wanna lock me up even though I'm legit.
I was reaching for chocolate milk, and then the router stopped. Router.
Federals try to set me up, put me in cuffs and crush what I lost into dust. Plus, they want a nigga soul, but they know Big Joey crack and never rat a cat. And he know for sure that before the sun up, I left the streets alone. This gold disease and almost killed his mama. So I'ma keep doing what I'm doing, pursuing my dreams till there's enough cream to start my own union and show these kids how legit it is. Shit is real. I used to steal, but now I own several businesses. So it's your witnesses you claim to have, saying that I'm taking half. Extorting New York and not paying tax. I'm laying back, playing the role, playing the low, but it's the same old Joe, so don't get KO. Hey yo, I'm gonna fight for what I never did. Or catch a heavy bit, why don't they just let a nigga live?
Why do I end up in so much shit? I done came way too far to be calling it quits. Jake wanna lock me up.
Oops, I should have let it run through. What would you do? Just going underground with Bernice King.
Fuck who did I fear? Rappers. Back, I'm about to. Back, I'm about to begin. Back, I'm about to begin.
And counseling too. Were you one? Well, I guess you kind of are a counselor still.
I was.
Still. I guess you got our counselor. Still. I gotta hear this. Still.
On that, but it gave a lot of insight to like the male psychiatry.
We should tell them it's like short for be still my eye or some shit. Like.
And so that's why I'm able to talk to you, because you're the type of person that I probably talk to a lot in my life.
So funny. Yeah, there was just lots of different experiences. And then into coaching and
I need
stuff.
a tattooed
But I
on
think it's just
watch.
a deep
That's what
desire,
I need.
like a
With
geek
some
out
type of
on
liquid
human
paper
psychology,
ink or
why we
whatever.
do what we do. And how do we get to that point? And how do we change it
Solar
without
power.
looking?
Do people ask you about your relationship
Solar
lots too?
power,
It's like, well, as a professional,
All the
how are
time.
you in a relationship? Are you, all that stuff?
Absolutely.
What do you do? The guy walking down the
Yeah,
street
for
with a
sure,
dick needle spray
absolutely.
across his
And
back.
I don't think it's always like credible, but I think people are looking to be inspired by the person they're getting information from.
Right.
It's kind of like going to the
Okay,
gym.
I
You're not
thought
going to hire the most
I
overweight
needed to hear
trainer.
this. I was wrong. It's darn day 6 a.m. Hey, fuck you. 6 a.m. What year? What decade? What millennium?
To see if I'm drunk, but I'm sober. They wouldn't fuck with me if I drove it over. Listen, Columbo, you mad because your money comes slow, and what you make in a year, I'm making one show. Now you wanna frisk me and search my ride? Call me all kind of names, try to hurt my pride. You just mad cause I'm a young cat. Rock dumb facts, talking about where the gun at. I've been there and done that. I'm through with that illegal life. I'm staying legit. I love to see cars to crucify, playing my shit. I walk around with 6 down without a pistol. My whole clique's wild. I'm rich pal, no more sticks. I'm making hits now. I drink crystal. I'm through breaking laws. I don't sell coke anymore. I do chores. So get that flashlight out of my face to bring me down. Them jakes to do whatever it takes. Word up, them federals got my phone and my house tapped, praying that I fall for the mouse trap. I doubt that. Why do I end up in so much shit? I done came way too far to be calling it quits. Jake wanna lock me up even though I'm legit. They can't stand to see a young brother pops
And it was really, it wasn't deserted, but there weren't very many people around. A lot of people have left, partly because of the state of emergency. They want to get away from that. Also because a lot of people don't want the games. They're worried about this, an outbreak of...
Okay, so we had a shootout in broad day, and our videos keep getting interrupted, but whatever. There's a shootout in broad day, and there's a test of some emergency warning system. It's supposed to warn you about a chemical spill. Yeah, if somebody remembers to pull the thing, right? 2 minutes of an alarm. You keep saying it's going to sound like woo, 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 or whatever, but they're making the sound, whatever. And then there'll be 5 minutes of silence and 2 minutes of a monotone. But don't kid yourself. There's air raid sirens in this city. I know where they are.
On whether Japan had an option to cancel. It was, I mean, yeah, the rule book says that it can only be cancelled by the International Olympic Committee, and there are sanctions, financial sanctions, if a host city cancels. I'm not sure whether that would have happened if the Japanese government had said, look, we can't do this anymore. The IOC would have, they would have had to have gone along with that. But yeah, the rule book does say that the IOC are the only body that can cancel an Olympics. And Thomas Bach made it very clear, actually, early on, that there wouldn't be another postponement if there was anything, that it would be cancelled. But he also said that he wanted to support the athletes. He didn't want to disrupt their training, their efforts to get to the games, and that's why he says he didn't want to speculate on cancellation during the build-up.
But that is fascinating in itself, isn't it, Mark McKinnon? I mean, that the IOC get the sort of deciding vote.
Yes, and I think it was, a big concession for them last year to have postponed it in the first place, and to have kept calling it Tokyo 2020, even though that's obviously a bit of a fiction at this point. But yes, I think just speaking with my friends in Japan this week, that public support for the Olympics was incredibly low, and any government that was concerned about public opinion would have said, let's put this off until October. And I think there's a bit of a rhyme there with the 1964 Olympics, which was the last time Tokyo hosted. And that was, again, sort of Japan standing up after the Second World War and putting a new face to the world, which was the same intent here. That was in October, so there was a precedent there as well. But the IOC, as I understand, was just not going to be budged a second time.
And just very, very briefly, Stephanie, you mentioned you're interested in sport. For the athletes trying to prepare when they keep changing the dates, I mean, they prepare meticulously, and that is also really difficult.
Yeah, that's very difficult. And also, of course, every day, every training, every competition means you might get injured. And then you can't compete at the Olympics. But just one brief point, if I may, it also takes my mind back to 2012 in London. And I was lucky to be here and covering the event. And it was so beautiful. And it really kind of last time that this country was utterly happy. And I can understand this is a unifying event for every nation. And it's so sad that the Japanese can't celebrate it.
Well, we have to let Alex go now because you've got quite a busy day, I think, Alex.
Yeah, but cycling to watch for a while, actually. And I would say it's actually sweltering out there. So, it's really challenging for these cyclists. 240 kilometres all the way to Mount Fuji. It's tough going.
And tough for you as well, no doubt, watching there with a nice cold drink. Thank you so much, Alex Capsick there, live from Tokyo. Now let's move on briefly to the rainfall and the terrible floods that they've been having in Henan province in China earlier this week. We saw those pictures of passengers trapped on commuter trains, some of them just managing to keep their heads above water. More than 500 people were eventually rescued from those tunnels, according to the officials, but above ground, all the roads had turned into rivers, basically, and there were cars and debris everywhere. Our China correspondent Robin Brandt sent us this report from Zhengzhou, one of the worst-hit cities.
After 5 days of incessant rain, the downpour has stopped, in the city at least, but the rescue or recovery hasn't. This is one of the main streets in the city. If you come with me, we're going to head up this footbridge to see where the focus of one of the most important rescue efforts is. At Jingguang Tunnel, they are pumping out vast quantities of water. Police officers every 20 meters or so are stationed around the tunnel entrance. One told us, don't film. The search operation began as rescue, of course, but almost certainly recovery. Now, there are police, PLA, diggers, and they've been here for 3 days now. It's a desperate wait for people, really. We're hearing stories about mothers looking for their children who were here on scooters on Tuesday, and they haven't heard from them since. The truth is, we just don't know how many cars are in there, how many people are in there. And now for parents and for other relatives, it's just an unimaginable wait. Over 30 kilometers away outside the city, there were desperate measures to stop rising river levels.
That's worth $1, $2 right there. What was that?
A place called Xinqiang. This man is directing drivers as they line up in green trucks, steer them over the edge of the crumbling riverbank into the water to try to dam the swelling river.
Wait, what? With trucks?
Media
Wait a second, I thought you proved it the other day.
from a house here, but its mother had drowned.
Just going to stroll up to the entrance to Shah Kaolu metro station. The shutters are down. Let's have a look inside.
In Zhengzhou, the city worst hit this week, the metro system remains shut, the target of emotional appeals from the families of some still missing after 12 drowned in the tunnel.